So here we're going to use the idea of the irregular shapes to help us find the area of Virginia. But the important thing to start with is recognizing what is the area of each of the squares on the grid. Now the key tells me that across two squares is a length of 49 miles. That means if I'm going to create a segment here that is just one length across one square, that would then have to be 24.5 miles, because that's half the length across there. So if I think about what's going on with an entire square, I'm going to draw that over here. I know that this would be 24.5, this would be 24.5, and so I know that the area would equal 24.5 miles by 24.5 miles, and that each square would then represent 601/4 square miles. So now it's a matter of just figuring out how many squares do I have in this. So I start with my idea of the underestimate. So I'm going to use my polygon tool. None of these blocks are fully there, so I'm going to come down, go all the way across here, go up, go around the edges. Doesn't look like I can get into there anymore. I'm going to come up some, can't go any higher, go across, come down, go across, come down. Again, I can only hit the blocks on the underestimate that have no outline in them. So I can get really close, but make sure there's no outline. And as we talked about before, if I right click and do show label, I can then right click again and use my settings and change this to value to make my life a lot easier. So instead of having to count those manually, I see there's 37 total blocks that are in the underestimate. Now let's figure out the overestimate. So I'm going to start here. I know that I come all the way across. There's some in this one. I'm going to click there. There's nothing in that box. And then I'm going to come back around, come up, come all the way across here. There's some in this box. There's some in here. I keep going up, come over, come up, come all the way across. I'm going to come an extra one here. So it looks like it might be really close. Come over and just slowly come down the side of Virginia, one box at a time. And again, if it looks close, I'm including it. I think that one's wouldn't be included. Come down. You can see it's including a lot of boxes. That fully encloses all of Virginia. If anything, I might have included one box or two boxes extra, but it's pretty close. So again, I right click, I show my label, I right click again to go to settings because I want the value and not the name. And that tells me there's 106 boxes. So if I want to figure out how many boxes I have, so I'm going to just do my squares here. I know that I'm going to just do the average. So that's 37 plus 106 over 2. This gives me 71.5 squares as my average. So I know that the area of Virginia then would be the 71.5 squares from my grid, and then that is 625 square miles per square. So I first figure out what's my average number of squares, and then I can multiply by what's the actual value of each square. And when I do that, I get an estimated square mileage for Virginia to be 42,917 and 875 thousandths square miles. So then the question from here was, well, what is the actual area of Virginia? So if I come back here and do area of Virginia, and I'm just using Google, it tells me that's 42,775 square miles. So through estimation, using these squares, I got within just over 125, 150 square miles. That's pretty good when you think about trying to find your measurements here for what we're doing. So if I wanted to get more exact, what I could do is I could make the grid smaller, make each of those squares worth a smaller amount, but also by having them smaller, I could get closer to the edges.